A huge injury to the Browns defense. What does it mean for this season? And how about we get into some fantasy football talk? We're going to be talking fantasy options on the Cleveland Browns. Let's get to the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara. The sickest Cleveland Browns podcast.
Chubb runs, he's to the 10, 15, he's to the 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. There goes Chubb, he's to the 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown, Shabba-lubba hub.
It's gonna be sick.
Welcome, everybody. I haven't been able to bring myself to change the opening call for the show yet from the late, great Jim Donovan and Nick Chubb that moved on. By the time the season comes, I will. I'm just holding on. I'm holding on. I can't do it yet. Welcome. Hope everyone's doing great. Heat wave everywhere. Training camps underway. And a key injury to the Browns defense. But make sure you are clicking subscribe on the channel. Subscribe. Notifications on. Share the link. Like the shows. We're going to be going fantasy football through different Browns opponents. Rankings. We'll be talking real life football too, of course, and get you ready for the Browns season as we creep ever closer. Training camps going. The first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game, is happening Thursday. So football is coming back in a big way. I am pumped. Make sure you're following us on X, on Twitter, at SickPodBrowns, at AndyMC81. Hey, you got any fantasy football questions coming up? Remember, use hashtag AskAndy. It's that time of year. Hashtag AskAndy. You can do that on Instagram as well and TikTok at AndyMC Sports. But the injury I talked about here is in practice on Tuesday. Martin Emerson in a contract year, expected for a bounce back to be the number 2 outside corner alongside Denzel Ward, went down. No contact injury. Looks like an Achilles, at least lower leg. And when that happens, he got carted off. Coaches were giving him hugs. It does not look good, and it has all the scary vibes of being done for the season, which is just awful news. Emerson, just such a delight to listen to the odd time you heard him interviewed. He shadowed Denzel Ward, wanted to do things the right way. And now what does it mean for this Browns defense where the cornerbacks was a strength? And you realize, just like that, a strength can come into question. So now, well, everyone who was questioning, myself included, why do you have Greg Newsome back? Why are you paying him all that money? Well, Greg Newsome isn't the best corner, but he's still good. And now I would think, would be the one to pop outside. Cameron Mitchell, likely, who we have not heard much of at all since being drafted, likely then gets bumped and goes into that slot spot where we were seeing Greg Newsome before. So it's interesting in that nickelback spot. So Cam Mitchell jumps up there, Miles Harden as well. So you're going to get a lot of guys who were depth chart guys we haven't seen a lot of. Maybe that's for a reason, but they're going to get a chance. But I love Emerson. He's so long and deceptively speedy and a bit down year last year. But man, this guy's good player. One of Andrew Berry, we criticized him a lot on the show, but one of his best draft picks, 3rd round. And now most likely gone for the season. So that's the biggest news come out of Browns camp. But we're going to be focusing on the fantasy football side. Are there any quarterbacks? Joe Flacco, I would think, would be the QB with Kenny Pickett going down with a hamstring injury. I would think it's Joe Flacco's job. And then you got Dylan Gabriel, of course, the one everyone wants to talk about, Shedeur Sanders, who is popping and looking really good. Yeah, not against the ones, but in training camp as good as you can look where there's no contact to the quarterback. So who am I talking fantasy football with, you might ask? Well, I'm going to bring on my guy, Bob Lung, runs the Fantasy Football Expo, which is next weekend in Canton, Ohio, at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've been there before myself, and I absolutely love it. So make sure to have Bob on each year at least, and I'm hoping to get down there next year, Bob. But how are you, buddy?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it was good to hear Jim Donovan, that play-by-play. That's going to be tough to get rid of. I mean, he's kind of like Tom Hamilton in this area. He's kind of like a icon of play-by-play sports for Cleveland. And you're going to hear that play-by-play of Nick Chubb running those kind of runs. Problem is, it's going to be for the Houston Texans because Joe Mixon is out and he's going to take over, and we're all going to hate the fact that we didn't even try to.
Nope. He wanted to come back again, Bob. It's the Browns trying to be smarter than everybody else. No, we'll get ahead of it. And I'm not blaming Andrew Berry because Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State, all accounts, his record was clean, but this dude's in a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. We don't know if he's going to be suspended, how many games. We think some. Is it for whatever reason? But that running back group that looked like, okay, we got Judkins, now got a lot smaller and a lot more questions.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. And I mean, maybe Dylan Sampson could be an answer, but I'm like you. I was really high on Judkins when I knew that he was going to be the number one. And I knew he was going to be the number. I mean, Chubb is still not the Chubb we knew from 3 years ago, but still an 80% is 70%, still pretty good. And like I said, and then he gets signed by the Texans, and all of a sudden, magically, Joe Mixon is hurt and maybe out weeks, months, we don't know. Yeah. I've been doing some, best ball drafts, other type drafts, and it's like, Chubb's available in round 14. Yeah, I'll put him up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll take Nick Chubb. We'll take. I wonder, and it's so tough because quite often the best version of a player is the year after they come back from the injury. And we saw, and I was actually in Cleveland for the game Deshaun Watson went down at in the Bengals, but also was Nick Chubb's return, and the response was electric. He scored a touchdown, but he wasn't the same. He's going to get a shot. So when you're drafting, you said some best ball, but in general, if he still looks good, like where does Nick Chubb sort of fit in your fantasy rankings?
Well, I mean, I had him as a solid backup. I mean, he's in the same place as guys, there's a lot of teams. Well, first off, there's very few teams that have the workhorse anymore. That's just not a thing. I mean, even Detroit's got Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. Those are your, two workhorses. McCaffrey can stay healthy. But most teams have this 1-2 punch. But not in Houston, and it was all about Mixon. And so when they signed Chubb, my thought was Mixon's is not as healthy as they make him out to be. Mm-hmm. There was just talk of, he'll be fine for camp. And, the foot's bothering him a little bit, but blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, You see those kind of signings, they're not just for the fun of it. There's a reason. And so I was, like I said, 12th, 14th round in a 16-team league. Why not throw a dart, at Nick Chubb as your RB4?
See what happens.
And see what happens, right? I mean, obviously handcuffing is a thing in fantasy. You draft Kenneth Walker, you damn well better get Zach Charbonnet. If you draft Jaylen Warren, you better get Caleb Johnson. And, so there's things like that you've got to do, James Cook, Ray Davis. Mm-hmm. But if you are in round 12 or 14 and you don't have the ones you wanted to handcuff are gone, then you just start grabbing the other ones. And so, like I said, Chubb or, Caleb Johnson, J.K. Dobbins, all those kind of guys fall in that same range of they're, especially when you're competing against a rookie. So like Jaylen Warren, J.K. Dobbins, these kind of people. The rookie may start by midseason, but hey, it's always good to get off to a 6-0 start in your fantasy league and then figure out the rest later.
And then see what happens.
Omarion Hampton 6 because you're waiting for a rookie to come on board. So.
Well, that's it. And like Omarion Hampton for the Chargers, you have Najee Harris. Najee Harris may, but then he almost blows his eye out with a firework. So maybe Hampton moves up a board there.
Right. Right. Another perfect example. Sure.
We look at the Browns running back group. Jerome Ford, he's banged up.
Yeah.
Okay? We talked about Dylan Sampson. Pierre Strong, no. Yeah. So, and Dylan Sampson, I like more as that scat back, not an everyday. Like he got stood up hard by Carson Schlesinger the other day. And then he's like, I don't really like getting hit. I'm like, don't like hearing that. Don't like hearing that.
There's no crying in baseball, and there's no saying you don't like to get hit in football.
I think, in fairness to him, I think it was he likes to be elusive and all. But the optics were. I heard the interview. I was like, that's not great. So, is it like, are we looking at for Browns fantasy? Does Jerome Ford have more value? Is it Is it Sampson? Is it you take Judkins if we don't find anything out way late and hope he comes back? What are we doing?
I mean, in any situation, first off, probably not going to draft any Browns running backs. Now, if you're in a deep best ball where you might be drafting 25 rounds, 30 rounds kind of thing, yeah, you grab some of those guys because by that time you're picking up scraps anyway. So grabbing, even like you said, Judkins, if you can get him in, late rounds, he might be the guy that gets you, through the playoffs, fantasy playoffs in weeks 14 through 17.
Sure.
Because by then maybe he's got his good graces with the team and he came back and now he's looking strong. And, now they're playing in December against Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, those kind of teams. They're going to want to grind it out. They're not going to want to try to get in a shooting match with anybody like Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson or, those kind of teams. So they're going to want to give somebody the ball that can grind out the yards. And
right.
So that's, there's chances, but I mean, in a straight 16 person team or a 12 team with 16 players, I don't think I'm drafting any Browns players at this point.
Yeah.
And Browns running backs, I should say.
Browns running backs. And it really depends. Does Judkins get injured?
Right.
Or not get injured, get suspended for how long? And then
how about signed?
That's a good start. You're right. How about
let's start with them getting signed because they're kind of playing this.
They're waiting and seeing.
Yeah.
I
don't know if they would just, hey, sorry, we're just going to throw you. I don't know. Can you do that? I know a player can, like the kid from Cincinnati, Stewart. He's talking about I'll just go back and play college again.
Right. He just
kind of want to sign with you because if you're treating your top defensive player like this, why would I want to play for you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's fair. So do they trade him? I don't know how that works.
It's going to be interesting to follow. And of course, there is that recommitment to the run by the Browns going back to the Stefanski offense, which should benefit the tight ends, David Njoku, and a guy I want to talk to you about because, Bob, I love Harold Fannin Jr. I think maybe more for Dynasty, but man, this guy, the reports that he doesn't drop a ball. He doesn't drop a ball. I don't care if he's from Bowling Green. Yeah. This guy seems like an absolute stud, and he's a TE2 in name, but I don't know. Later there, I think he's going to get overlooked. I want some shares of Harold Fannin Jr.
Oh, absolutely, especially in dynasty leagues. And I'll be honest with you, I don't normally tell people to handcuff their tight ends, but if you draft Njoku, I would draft Hannon. If you got room on your bench, I would definitely draft Hannon because Njoku plays hard. We all love him. He's a great player, no question about it. But he gets dinged up because he plays hard. Get it? So if he misses a few games, Fannin could be quite the steal at this point. And of course, he's from the hometown here of Canton, Ohio, with Canton McKinley. So we all in Canton love Harold Fannin Jr. We're all about it. So, I like him a lot, just like you two. Great kid, great attitude. Yeah, played for, but hey, Ashton Genty played for Boise State. So, and he's getting picked in the first round in fantasy draft. So, those players come, they can come out of smaller schools and still be effective.
Josh Cribb,
it's not out of the realm of happening for sure.
Yeah, small Ohio schools. Like I said, Josh Cribb's Kent State. Going back, there's literally
Antonio Gates was he played basketball. Kent.
But hey, he's going in, right?
He's going in the Hall of Fame
right in your backyard. That's right. Yeah. At the Pro Football Hall of Fame. For that tight end group, we know when Joe Flacco was here 2 years ago, that chunk of games, David Njoku's stats exploded, and he's looked the best he'd looked in the National Football League. I would think with Kenny Pickett being injured with a hamstring, and even if he wasn't, I want no part of Kenny Pickett. With Flacco in, how much value does that give to David Njoku instead of if you compare to a Kenny Pickett who plays it safe but isn't scoring touchdowns?
I mean, you always have to have a security blanket. Every quarterback does. I feel like Njoku certainly fills that role, and I don't care who's quarterbacking. If one of the rookies, or even Pickett, I would think. I think he threw quite a bit to Freiermuth when he was there in Pittsburgh. But they also had some pretty decent wide receivers too, of course. But yeah, I love Njoku. The great thing is that his ADP is not very high. So you can get him in like round 8, 9. Like he's not going up with the top tight ends, even though he probably should. So, you've got your Brock Bowers and Trey McBrides and Kelsey's and, Mark Andrews and those kind of folks. And they're going rounds, Bowers is going pretty early, between 2 and 5, 2 and 6 maybe. But then you've got this next tier of like Njoku and Zach Ferguson, Evan Ingram, Dalton Kincaid, those kind of. So Njoku's in that group, and like I said, his ADP is somewhere in. I want to say, let me double check on that one, but 116. So what's that? Almost round 10, 9 or 10. So in a 12-teamer. So yeah, I think he's got a really good value at that spot. I mean, I have him ranked 13th on my board, just outside the top 12. But I could easily flip him with Jake Ferguson or Tucker Kraft or some of those people, and I'd be just as happy with him. I mean, last year he was 12th in total points. He did miss 5 games, so his points per actually placed him 5th when he was on the field. Like you said, and that was with garbage. That was with no Joe Flacco. That was with
last offense.
Lots of garbage.
Yeah.
So the Joker is just such a great value in fantasy. And you can get him in the later rounds. Maybe you match him up and grab another decent one like a Brenton Strange, Dallas Goedert, those kind of people, just to have a backup just in case Njoku does go down. And like I said, if you got a real deep bench, you can get Harold Finney Jr. a little bit later as well. So definitely love Njoku.
And for Joe Flacco, again, he played amazing in Cleveland for that chunk. Up and down in Indianapolis, he's back. He's 40. It's I'm not saying we're looking to start Joe Flacco as your QB1, but is he worth having on the bench? Is he worth picking up a little later and saying, hey, you know what? He's got the arm talent still.
He does, but there's so many other good, you can also draft Matthew Stafford that late, and I would much rather have Matthew Stafford. And I know he's complaining about his back, but
he always complains about his back.
Always complains about he just doesn't want to practice.
No, it's hot.
He'll be fine week 1.
Yeah, guaranteed. I don't blame him. It's hot outside.
Yeah, he doesn't need to practice.
No.
Let the number 2 quarterbacks play. So I mean, as much as I love Joe Flacco too, and he's got all kinds of potential to put up lots of fantasy points for everybody on his team, including himself. It's just is it really worth drafting now? There may be a bye week, and maybe I have to pick him up because my quarterback's on a bye. Maybe.
Right.
But I'm not sure I'm going to invest any actual draft capital on him. That's for sure.
That makes sense. Right. To rush out. And finally, Bob, let's finish with the much maligned wide receiver group of the Browns that has been dumped on, and rightfully so for the most part. The one plus we saw Jerry Jeudy elevate to the top talent that we feel he could be. That was with a gunslinger like Jameis Winston. You'd think that could translate to Flacco with the big arm. For Jerry Jeudy, he's going to get a lot of targets. But after that, it's really just projection, right? Like Deontay Johnson could, if he's a ticking time bomb. I still expect him to implode. But if that guy can get to 90%, 80% of what he was in Pittsburgh, that's a hell of a WR3 on your fantasy team in PPR.
So let me talk about the Browns wide receivers, and I'll break it down to each guy because I feel like they each have their own. So Jerry Jeudy. So, I talk about all of my consistency stuff, my consistency guide you can get on Amazon. And so Jerry Jeudy last year, just to give you guys some numbers, 16th in total points, played all 17 games, 71% consistent, which ranked him 20th. So he's a late wide receiver 2, probably could easily draft him as your wide receiver 3 on your team. And I think he'll stay in that level because I don't think he's going to have any huge games, but he's going to be that consistent player week after week. They're going to get you that 12 to 15 points that you need out of your wide receiver 3, and that's perfectly fine. Right. So that's my thoughts on Jeudy. Again, ADP's probably around 6, 7. But again, wide receiver 3, that's fair.
Rock solid.
Let me talk about my favorite guy that I hope Flacco plays, because I feel like this is the guy that could make or break some of your fantasy teams.
Okay.
Well, not break, make your fantasy teams. And that is one Cedric Tillman. This kid last year for those 3 games. Oh, he's got his cards.
I got the autograph card. I got another one up there.
Baby.
I'm bullish on Cedric. Okay.
Yes.
Go.
Cedric last year in those 3 weeks, weeks 7, 8, and 9, was the number 1 fantasy wide receiver with 64.5 points. He did nothing the rest of the year. But those 3 weeks shows you how good this kid can be when given the opportunity. And as long as the Browns don't screw that up, which they're very good at doing, that I feel like Cedric Tillman, who you can get after
undrafted,
after Judkins, maybe. He's barely getting drafted in most normal leagues. Now I'm playing a lot of best ball this time of year, drafting a lot of best ball. So I'm getting him like, wide receiver 5, 6, 7. Right. I think if he can be given the opportunity, and he should be the number 2 guy. Deontay Johnson certainly has the talent, but it's like $1 million talent, 10-cent head. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
If he can get the head a little straight, sure, certainly he's got the talent, but he hasn't played for so long at a high level. I don't know if he can. I don't know if he knows how.
Right.
Like, he didn't want to play last year in the cold.
No.
Like, what?
Right.
So, but anyway, so I think those 2, I think Judy in, again, round 6, 7, wide receiver 3, Tillman late, wide receiver 6, 7 are the 2 guys I would draft. Deontay Johnson, probably not. And, there isn't much else, I don't think, behind that. They let Elijah Moore go, which I think was, again, another dumb move. I think this kid had talent. Mm-hmm. They just didn't give him the opportunity. Do not be surprised if Elijah Moore goes to Buffalo with Josh Allen and makes a name for himself. Maybe not in a huge way, but he'll start creeping up. And this year you'll see him be, a pretty good wide receiver 3 for them. And then if Keon Coleman moves on, or Khalil Shakir moves on, then maybe he moves in that. But I think the kid was super talented, but he had to play for the Jets and the Browns, and ain't a lot to work with.
Yeah, Jamari Thrash intrigues me. He's such a flyer. He's more of those, I think, every 3rd game he'll catch an 80-yard pass, and people will get him on waiver, then he won't do anything, right?
Yeah, right. Then he won't do anything. Yeah, that's the consistency model I talk about.
That's
the guys you stay away from.
That's the guy you stay. And so tell people again, Bob, where you can get your fantasy football consistency guide. Tell us a little bit about it. Where you can get it.
Just go to Amazon, where you normally buy your books, magazines, all that kind of great stuff, and just type in fantasy football consistency. The 2025 version will pop up. This is my 10th year with the book, 8 straight years being nominated by the Fantasy Sports Writers of America as one of the best fantasy football publications in the country. Won the award in 2018, but it is there to help you folks understand the difference between some of these players who score a lot of points but don't do it on a consistent basis, and vice versa, who are consistent, but you don't realize it because you look at their total points and you're like, oh, 20th, but their consistency is 86%. I'm talking about, of course, David Montgomery, who's my favorite guy every year. Those are the kind of guys that will make the difference between you missing the playoffs by 1 or 2 games and making the playoffs and having a chance to win a title. I always tell people, my model won't win you a title, but my model will get you to the playoffs, and that gives you the opportunity to win a title. After that, it's a crapshoot.
Oh, at that time of year.
But it's the old golf, 99% of the putts that don't make it to the hole don't go in. It's the same way as consistency. If you can't make it to the playoffs, it doesn't matter what your team did weeks 1 through 14.
Nope.
Trust me, I know. Last year I was 13-1 in our Kings Classic League. Best of the best draft at the Hall of Fame during Expo weekend, and I got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs.
Oh,
13-1, waltzed through the season, blowing people out. For that 1 week. Again, you can get there, but then it's a little bit of luck to playing the right guy. What happens that week? So, but the guide will help you get to the playoffs, and that's what's important, and that'll help you out a lot.
And of course, the big news is the Fantasy Football Expo weekend in Canton, Ohio. Pro Football Hall of Fame next weekend, August 8th to 10th, right?
8th through the 10th, yep.
8 through the 10th. So people can, if people haven't been, you get to go. You can get tickets to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which has been revamped. They have great features there. You tell people.
So basically, you can buy tickets to the Hall of Fame. So those are, but you can get a weekend pass. So we've got a Friday party at Centennial Plaza. We have a Saturday party this year at Jersey's and M Bar up in Belden Village. And then we've got drafts going on all day Sunday. Like you said, you can buy a ticket to go to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's drafts that you can enter just for fun, live drafts at Jersey's. And it's just hanging out, then all day Sunday, we're at the Dome down there behind the Hall of Fame. We have 50 trade show booths, and we have 3 stages of every genre you can think of: dynasty, redrafts, best ball, a DFS, sports betting, and it's all the top experts in the country. So Marcus Grant, NFL.com, Michael Florio, NFL.com, Michael Fabiano, Sports Illustrated, Andy Barron just be with Yahoo, Matt Harmon with Yahoo, JJ Zacharias and late round quarterback, Bob Harris, football guys, and I could go on and on. If you recognize any of those names, you need to be there.
You got to
check it all out next weekend. Go to thefantasyfootballexpo.com, get your tickets. We are cutting off tickets this Friday online. Now you can still show up at the door, but tickets online so that we can get everything organized, get everybody's name badges ready to go, will be cut off on after Friday. So make sure you get your tickets. It will also save you some money from having to pay the door price. So check it all out. We'd love to have you guys come.
I wore the other week my Fantasy Football Expo 2022 shirt, and I was like, I need a new one.
I need to do it. Right. You need to do it.
It's folks, it is such a fantastic event. I love it, and hopefully get down there next year. But Bob, thank you so much. We love it. The amazing work, and good luck on the Expo.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. There he goes. Bob Lung runs the Fantasy Football Expo. Like you said, get the tickets and pick up the Fantasy Football Consistency Guide 2025, because, folks, fantasy football is coming. It's coming. The drafts are coming, right? So you had all the info we needed for the Browns. We're running through their offensive position groups, what to expect. Really, I think the most value for the Browns is the tight end spot, David Njoku and Harold Fannin Jr. when it comes to fantasy, and then Jerry Jeudy after that, and the rest are just a little bit. We're going to need some luck, and we know as Browns fans we don't often get that much luck. But big thanks to Bob Lung there, to all of you. Let me know, who's your top Brown that you're drafting? Who are you most excited about? Just fantasy football questions in general. Hit us up in the chat on X, on Twitter, at AndyMC81, at SickPodBrowns. Follow us there. Use hashtag AskAndy. Get your fantasy questions in. Instagram, too, at AndyMCSports. Actually, on my Twitter, my X, at AndyMC81, there's the link right at the top to the Sick Podcast store, where you can get fantasy football champion shirts, professional fantasy football player shirts, some cool Browns and Ohio State stuff. Check all that out there, and we will see you next time as we continue the march to the regular season, talking all things Browns and fantasy football.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Andy McNamara on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.